Hi guys, welcome to Designing Mobile Games for iPhone and Android Part 2, The Secrets. Alright, this is Part 2 of the series. Now we're going to get a little bit deeper into what makes games addictive, what makes games catchy, what draws the fans to the games, builds a community around fans, gets word of mouth. Alright, the elements, and there's many. In Part 1 I have some, and this is Part 2. Alright, so let's get to it. uh, Character building and storylines. Even the most basic game on the last series, we just used a runner. We just pick anything. We just use a runner as an example. Now, a runner is just basically a character running on a screen, collecting coins, dashing, avoiding enemies, or knocking into enemies, etc. etc. Now, one thing also, no matter how simple your game is, right? If you want to keep people drawn to it and talking about it, um, building a character is a good way to do that because the character stays fresh in your mind. I mean, let's say, you know, when we were younger, you watch cartoons or TV shows, right? You watch them to watch your favorite character. You know, you remember it because there's a character. And even if it's not your favorite character, you remember there's characters. You remember the character. Now, let's say you have 10 games, right? And they're all, let's say they're pretty good. But one game has a character you remember, like Hamburger McGinnis, You'd be like, oh, remember that game with Hamburger McGinnis? Already he has a character, and then, he could have the silliest, stupidest storyline that there could be, I mean, Hamburger McGinnis, he's a hamburger that's running, collecting Guinnesses, whatever. It sounds ridiculous, right? But people will remember that over just a basic runner with good graphics. Why? Because it's a character, you know what I mean? And people are drawn to characters. All right, we watch TV, we watch movies, all we're seeing is characters. So why not in video games? A lot of indie game developers are making the mistake of just making a game with a basic character and not really emphasizing on that character. Now, how do you build that character? Mainly cutscenes. I mean, if you look even way back when, um, if you look at Angry Birds, right? That's a simple game. Um, but what drew people? People saw the silly storyline. I mean, the storyline was silly. You know what I mean? But people remembered it. They remember the characters. All right. Um, so for a runner, I mean, you could think of the most basic storyline and just make like a cutscene. So when the game starts, let's say there's a bandit running across the screen with some cash, and then they show you running after him, right? Like, give me my cash, and the game starts, and you're running after him, right? And if you make the game level based instead of endless, you could really go into the character building because at the beginning of every level you could have just a short cutscene, and that little thing will make the player keep continuing because now he's not just interested in the game, he's interested in the character. You know what I mean? What's gonna happen next? What's gonna happen next in the story? Um and then it's a good way to introduce new levels. Like, let's say you have a level with spikes instead of gaps, like you had in the previous level. So now you show a cutscene where the character's jumping over spikes to get to where the robber's at, right? So you're actually teaching them something while they're watching a cutscene. So you could and like I said, it's real basic, but a cutscene, just a small one, adds a really good element to a game to make it memorable and to continue word of mouth. Now, if you want my honest opinion, for a mobile game, you might not want to take yourself too seriously. Instead of making a serious story, think of something silly. You know what I mean? Just something silly. Like, you could have a running egg, right? And you play the egg that's running, and there's a frying pan and a spatula, running after you, and you name them character names, or just something ridiculous. Because for some weird reason, a lot of people they remember these silly things. So especially if it's a casual game. I mean, if you're doing like a 3D game or something, of course you're gonna be more serious. But for a casual game, you want to lighten up and build a character. All right, now for the next one, uh, systems. The systems in games. A lot of games are too bare bone. All right. Now going back to our original example of a runner, besides him running and let's say having a high score, or even if it's endless, having a high score, or if it's not endless, having levels, you need more to keep the player engaged. Okay, let me tell you something about gamers. They want multiple goals, right? So they can at least reach one of them while they're playing. So that means, okay, they're playing an endless. Let's say an endless, all right. They collect, 200 coins. They look. They want a store, right, where they could buy power-ups, right, that they could use, let's say instantly, or they want to upgrade their character. Make him jump further, or give him the ability to double jump, or maybe to dash longer. Whatever it may be, they're looking to upgrade the character. So you have to have a shop. So the system is having a shop in place for them to go, all right? And this builds the element of addictiveness from the standpoint of what do people do in regular life? They go shopping. You shop for clothes, you shop for shoes, sneakers, you shop. So why not have a shop in the game? Sometimes you just have to take something from real life and put it into a game, of course in a game way, and it works, and it draws the player to the game. So and you don't just have to have power ups and upgrades. You could make clothes. Or he could have a hat, or a cape, or whatever you could think of. Whatever you could think of. Maybe he's a different character, but the more stuff you have, the more of a story you have in the game, right? The more players are gonna play, because people just love unlocking things. Some people are just so addictive. There's a huge subset of casual gamers that are very addicted to unlocking everything. All right. Now, if it's a paid game, you don't want to make it too hard for them to unlock it, stuff. You want it to be a medium pace, but you don't want them. If you're collecting 200 coins per run, you don't want to have like 20 items at 10,000 gold pieces. Like, the person's just gonna quit. He's gonna be like, "F this game. This is dumb." You know what I mean? Even if your game was a freemium game, you still don't do that. You have to make a lot of items in the beginning. That's why you need a big shop. You have to have a lot of content, because in the beginning you want to make things very easy. That's what gets them addicted. Later on, you could challenge them where they go longer runs without getting being able to buy an item. But in the beginning, I would say for at least the first hour, they should be able to unlock something every 2 to 3 runs from the store. All right, you should make it at least that easy, just to get them hooked. All right, so having those systems where you have a shop, all right, that comes into play. A second part of the system, um, people like constant bonuses. All right, so in the game, just don't have it where you have to buy a bonus all the time. You know, you could randomly in the game have bonuses. Like speed boosters, jump boosters. Temporary mega dash attack. In the game, you should constantly have power ups, right? Constant upgrades to make the player feel like they're constantly getting something. You know what I mean? They're constantly being rewarded all the time. With these little different upgrades. And of course, when they go to the store, they get the major upgrades. All right, but the shop and continuously giving them upgrades, very important. All right, now the last thing we're gonna cover, and this is something also that I don't know why, but some developers, they get it wrong. Tutorials in games. I know I'm a gamer, So any game I pick up, I pretty much I can look at the screen and I can figure out, what's going on, you know. But you gotta assume that the other gamers or players, they don't know. I don't know what happens. What's up with this new generation of gamer? All right, and it's not your fault, but you're gonna have to do something about it. They pick up a game, and it can look like something they played before, and then when they press start, their mind goes blank, and they're like, "What do you do?" And it could be obvious. It could be plain as day. You could have a ball, a basketball, and a hoop, and the only thing you do is fling it to the hoop, and they'll sit there and tap the hoop and do all those crazy things instead of figuring out how to actually do it. I don't know why, but that's the world we live in. So you got to make step-by-step tutorials. Talk to them. Make a tutorial as if you were making a tutorial for a child. All right, So if you have a runner, right, and you don't have buttons, right, which I explained why in the other video why you shouldn't, and they have to tap the screen. Make sure you have big words that say tap this side to jump, right, and make sure they tap it before those words come off. Don't just make the words flash there for 10 seconds and then disappear. No, make sure they actually tap it, okay, and then maybe you want it to pop up again just to make sure they do it again so they know, and then you press the other side to dash. Then you have it flash again and then press again to dash, all right? You have to explain everything. If you have a bonus in a game, right, I don't know how you have different programming techniques, but you have to program it to where any upgrade they get, the very first time they get that upgrade, either the game pauses and you tell them what the upgrade is, or you leave the words on the screen but let it follow through for a little bit. And so they know what each upgrade does. You have to be real specific. You have to explain everything in the game. All right. And I know some designers say, "Oh, well, you want them to have discovery and discover things." Save that for a bigger game for like a PSP or DS. When you get to that level. But for a mobile gamer, unless, like I said, you're making like some huge, 2-year 3D Zelda type game where you could do that type of stuff. For a regular gamer, no, don't save anything. Don't have them figure it out. Let them know how to play the game. All right, and that's it. I'll be coming with more videos discussing different things about game designing and marketing. Will be next. Will be next in my series, and that one's actually gonna be longer than this one because there's a lot of ground to cover about mobile marketing. All right. Until then, take care. Thank you.